Hi, if you're in your 60s and thinking about getting back into the dating pool, and you're feeling a little stuck, then this video is for you. I know for me, when I was getting divorced and after I got divorced, and then, I certainly didn't for the first few years think about dating, but a couple of years after I was divorced, I definitely thought about dating and I felt a little bit stuck. Just, I don't know, again, whether it's a short marriage or a marriage. Mine was a long marriage, 16 years, being with someone 18 years is a long marriage. Like I just didn't really know where to go. But I think the thing that probably was the biggest thing is that I actually wanted to get in a relationship again. And I hadn't had that experience for several years after being divorced. It was like the last thing in my mind. I actually took this time to heal. So I think the first thing is identify that you want to be back in a relationship. And then I think the part of that is, what do you want that relationship to be? And, as we look back on failed marriages, failed relationships, obviously in your 60s and you're looking for a serious relationship, you have to look at the successes and some of the failures. And for me, I really started looking at who I had become in my marriage, given that I think it takes two to make a marriage. Whether I can point the finger at my ex or it's none of that. It's what can I control? And for me, I really saw a part of myself that I actually didn't like, in that I was a bit of a people pleaser. And in that, I didn't have any boundaries. So things were going on, and I'm not saying anything, but I'm not feeling seen or valued. But the truth is, I wasn't asking to be seen or valued. So I had to really look at what type of relationship do I want to be in? But then the bigger question becomes, who do I need to be to have that type of relationship? And for me, it's funny, people have on their bucket list, I want to go to the coast of Portugal for the summer or the winter, whatever, for a year. And for me, it's to be in a happy, healthy, emotionally committed, intimate relationship. And all of those things, I think emotionally mature. And so when I really started looking about what I wanted in a relationship and identifying that, then it became really clear some of the things that I needed to look at and some of the things that I was uncomfortable with. And then somewhere in this process, I heard about attachment theory. And I know I've mentioned this on Instagrams before and some of my other short reels, but take the test, Google it. Relationship attachment theory. There's only 4 types. I think it's so important to know who you are. And I'm a fearful avoidant. So I have a very anxious side, and I have a side that wants to distance and be dismissive and step back. And so as I really started thinking about the type of person that I wanted to be, I actually needed to start looking at my triggers and how I could start feeling safe within myself. So initially, I'm married, I'm putting my safety outside of myself. Of course, I'm not safe. I'm a people pleaser and I have no boundaries, and it's all building up. And how it came out for me is, I can be pretty sarcastic. I'm quick-witted. I can come across with really cutting remarks that truthfully did not serve my marriage. And I can look at that today and own it. But I also got to see, when I stepped back from my marriage and I started healing and I wanted to get in a relationship again, that I had to really see that covered a lot of my feelings, that it was felt too vulnerable to express. And the reason it was too vulnerable to express is because I wasn't creating my own safety. Again, you want to be dating somebody that you can trust and, you can collaborate with to have that outside safety. But I know for me, it was, how do I create safety within myself? And for me, that was learning to have boundaries, learning to express what I'm feeling in a way that is adult and emotionally mature, which, again, I didn't do this in my marriage. Maybe I did in the beginning, but again, my husband wasn't the only problem in the marriage, I guess is what I'd say. And I fully own that. So there's steps to this. I'm 60. I don't have the relationship I want, whether it's divorce or not. Identify that. Look internal. Look internal at what has not worked for you and what needs to get healed. And again, I'm going to put a tagline in there. Check out your relationship attachment styles. It's very, very important, because those are the things that are going to trigger you when you get in a relationship. So when I really decided, like, this was the type of man that I was looking for, I was like, well, how can I start getting out there? And for me, I started pretty slowly. I joined Meetup, which I think is pretty much all over North America. where you can join groups in your local area, from activities to yoga to spirituality to cooking to meeting up for restaurants. And the truth is, I had a wonderful time, and I met some wonderful men and women over the course of the year that I was involved in it, and I actually met some female friends. So I think it's getting out there and just feeling comfortable being yourself. And at some point, I actually got on a dating site. And again, I was really clear with what my boundaries were. I took it seriously. I had somebody help me write my profile. I had my dear friends proof it. And I slowly put myself out there. So I think the key is, if you're in your 60s and for some reason you're not in the relationship you want, I think you have to look into, know the goal. Always know the goal first. I mean, I think about this from business. It's like, if I'm preparing something big, what is the end goal? And starting with that. The goal is, I want to be in a healthy relationship. Looking at myself internally to go, this is where I need to step up. If this is the relationship I want, this is where I need to step up. And truthfully, that's where all the work is. Everything else is secondary. Whether you go to Meetup or whether you start getting involved in sports through your work or through your friends group, whatever it is, and then you get online and you're meeting people, and that's a whole other video, how to manage yourself through that process, because it can be draining. And I actually had fun with it because it wasn't my be all end all. I just really wanted to get out there and play. So if you have found any of this helpful, please like my videos, share my videos. I'm also, if you'd like to do a discovery session with me, I am opening up to clients. My email is posted in this. I'd love to support you in your process as I've gone through this. It's a lifetime process, but there's one of the things that's great about age is that, I definitely have a deeper wisdom of who I am and what's important to me. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to work with you. Again, it's gail@gaildesantis.com. And again, just take a step. Just take a step. Have fun. Know what you want. Be compassionate with yourself and laugh at yourself. At the very worst, learn how to laugh at yourself. Anyway, thank you for being with me and sharing your time.